Am I good enough? Will I ever live my dream life? Oh, look how far behind I am from all of those people. Look how far ahead everyone is. Can I even do it? Am I a failure? Now, if you'd ever thought such thoughts, or if you ever felt like you are a failure, it's probably for one of two reasons. And those reasons are that you are comparing yourself too much with other people. Whether they are your work colleagues, or your friends or colleagues from back in school, or worst of all, random people from social media. You're comparing your life with other people's life. You're comparing your own precious timeline with others' timelines. And that's, quite frankly, is stupid. And I'm going to put you into perspective in just a moment as to why it is actually stupid. As I'm going to put you into perspective of knowing and feeling what you would feel without all of this pressure, how you would be without all of this peer pressure, without yourself, without you comparing yourself with anyone else. How would your life be? And what even is the root cause to this comparisons? Where are they even coming from? And the second reason is that you know that you can do something but choose not to. In other words, you set expectations for yourself that you do not meet, which means that you do not meet your own standards, regardless of where those standards are coming from. Because all of these reasons essentially go back to one reason. They go back to one root cause, which stems from childhood dysfunctionality. It comes back from all the way back in your childhood. It's the programming, it's the unrealistic standards that your family or your parents or the society have set upon you. It's the need to control things. It's the feeling, it's the pursuing of perfectionism. It is that you are not valuable as a person. It's the thought, it's the perspective that you're not valuable as a person unless you do this and that, unless you be this and that. But regardless of all of this, it is what you feel, it is what you think, and it is ultimately justified because it is already there. Hello, you lovely infinite beings route onto your path of exploring the infinite. Welcome back to another video of AF's conscious frequency. Now, to begin with, it's a very, very good sign that you are here in the first place, that you are choosing, that you pressed on this video and chose to watch it all the way. And that is because it means that you are intentional and conscious, that rather than avoiding a negative feeling that's coming from deep within, you're choosing to shine the light onto it. And that means that ultimately you're willing to address it, that you're willing to change it, that you have the will and the power to actually change those feelings. And this deserves that you give yourself a little credit, which is the first step on your journey of coming back from self-pity and feeling like a failure and feeling like you're not good enough. Giving yourself credit on even the smallest of wins, of even the smallest of achievements, of even you deciding to pick up a book or buy a book about self-help or self-improvement, or you going and taking this course that you believe is going, even if it has nothing to do with your current career, but you believe it's something you're passionate about, it's something that you're willing to, maybe you're wishing to work on in the future. Or best of all, that you just take some time out of your day and be silent and listen more to your inner self, quiet your ego and be more with yourself, be more of your true self. So it is about giving yourself credit on every little step you take and realizing that not everything is set in stone, that what the small things you're doing might be great achievements to someone else. And further ahead, I'd like to first speak about a little bit about the spiritual aspect regarding this whole concept, regarding this whole video, regarding you feeling as if you are a failure, before going into details into the two reasons, and maybe what you can do to deal with them, to improve on them, to lessen their power on you. So by you being here, you have the will, you have the passion, you have the intention to do all of this. Maybe you're here because you're tired of feeling like you are a failure, or you don't know that why you're feeling as so. And always remember that knowing and understanding is half of the solution. I've always been saying this to my friends and to people everywhere, that knowing and understanding is half of the solution. Imagine this for a moment. Back when you were taking any sort of class, the first few weeks or first few days of the semester, in which you were struggling with the whole concept of you're taking a new course or a new subject, and you're struggling not just with one problem or how to solve it, but you don't even understand what's going on. Maybe it's a math class and you feel like as if you are completely lost. You have no idea where to even begin with, what to even begin to try and do. Not just how to solve a problem, but what is it even about. You don't know why is it even a problem. You felt very lost, you felt very unmotivated, you felt as if there was absolutely no chance to make it through this. But the few weeks go by, and then you understand it now, you know what it is. You don't necessarily know how to solve each and every problem, but you know the general concept of what you're studying. And now, all of a sudden, you're motivated, you're excited, you know, you have the will to try and solve it. You have the will to address it. And now you're open to all of these possibilities. You're open to all of this potential that maybe I can actually do it. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Once you understand the situation you're in, once you understand why, once you know why, and what's the root cause, or what even is the shallow cause, then you are far ahead on your journey of dealing with it, of healing it, of changing it. And so the first thing I'd like to address is the spiritual aspect, which is essentially is that you are way more than everything that you use to value yourself. That you're way more than just all of these things that you are achieving, all of these things that you are pursuing, all of these things that you're working towards, that you're putting all of this, the effort you put. It's not the amount of effort you put, it's not the amount of things you're achieving, it's not the success, the general success that you are pursuing or that you are currently in. It's not even this body, it's not even your ego. This is all just the ego construct, this is all just the programming that's been enforced upon us by everyone, by the society, by our upbringing. And this in turn have been translated to our ego that it's the best trait of our survival. The more we have of these, the better we are to survive. And that's why it's always there, and it's always there, and it's always asking and wishing and willing and trying and pursuing and seeking. And it's never just in here and trying to realize your own inherent value, your innate value, which is void of all of these standards. And I told you in just a moment, when I come to the first reason, I'm going to give you a very, very good example that's going to put you into perspective of how you would be without any of these constructs, without any of these programmings, without any of this pressure. And it's going to be the beginning of your changing journey, of your shifting your perspective from the self-pity and the victim mentality, and that you are not good enough, or that you do not deserve the good in life, to wow, I am amazing, I don't need these things. But I'm not here to tell you to stop pursuing and to stop seeking and to stop dreaming. Absolutely not. It's, in the end, it's an essential part of our being. It's an essential part of our journey here. And whatever you feel that you are called to do, or you wish upon it to exist, you wish for it to come into creation, into your life, it can be created. You can create it, because you are the creator of your life. You are the creator of your reality. Whoever you are, you reflect into your external reality. And to know better about yourself, watch your life, watch your external reality, and that's going to tell you a little bit more about your inner truth, about your subconscious, about what you've been feeding yourself and living through for the past while. And that's not your conscious mind. It's it's much deeper. It's what you feed yourself, your subconscious, over time over and time in, time out, day in and day out. And so spiritually, you first have to know that you can create anything. And that's a good thing and could be a bad thing, because if you continue believing and feeling as if you are a failure, then you're going to keep recreating such experiences into your life. You're going to be attracting whatever you're truly resonating with, aligning yourself with, and that is self-pity and failure. So you're going to manifest experiences that are going to reaffirm these thoughts and these feelings. That's how we live. That's how everything we experience in life comes into creation, comes into being. And so it is a good thing, because it drives you to be better within yourself, to know that you do not need to change any external factors, or you do not need to change your environment to feel better, to think better, to act better. That it all could be done from within. Although it would be easier, it would be better to actually change these things if they are affecting you negatively. But most of the time, more often than not, people cannot change such things. Sometimes you're just in a place where you cannot shift to somewhere else. Sometimes you're just in a position that you cannot change. You're dealing with a current experience that you cannot just suddenly quit. And that's why it's important, it's very, very powerful to know that you can do anything just by being with yourself, just by going back inside yourself and addressing all of these things and changing them and becoming 1% more positive every day. And that's done through realizing that what you are believing or what you are thinking is not necessarily facts. It's just a thought. It is what you think and what you feel. And it's not that everyone would think this about you. Think about your powers. Regardless, no matter how small they might be, think about what inherent and what kind of powers that are exclusive to you. We all have this one thing that not everyone can do, that not many people can do. We have even more than one thing that we can do much better than everyone else, everyone around us, all of these people that you're comparing yourself with. Maybe you're better with people. Maybe people come to you because they can talk to you and they feel better when they speak with you. Maybe you're good at life skills, at hard skills, like building your own kind of thing, your own little thing, or carpentry, or and these things you can do little nice artworks, or you can build these things that are useful to you around your house. Maybe you're calm and you can just conduct yourself when faced with harsh situations. And those are all wins. Those are all getting you closer to your dream life once you acknowledge them. But if you're not acknowledging them, if you're not giving yourself credit for them, then you're not acknowledging their existence. Then they're not going to get you closer. They're not going to be used as a tool that puts you ahead of others. And ultimately, in spirituality, there's no far ahead or far behind. We each have our own very magnificent, sacred journey that we are meant to live, that we choose to live, that we chose to live. Before we forget about who we truly are, before we forget what we are doing here. And when you look at things this way, you realize how small this thing that's making you feel like a failure is. When you realize how beautiful life is, and living, and creation, and you being the creator is, many other things would seem very trivial. And once they are trivial, once they they stop controlling you that much, now you are in control. Now you can actually change them. So I'm not telling you to stop trying to change them, to not care about them, to they're ultimately meaningless, or they hold no real value. That's absolutely not my point. I'm just trying to lessen that control they have over you in order for you to be able to take more control over them and to master them. And now, once this is in perspective, let's move on to the first reason, which is that you are comparing yourself way too often with other people, and that's actually not probably, it's shown by studies that this is the number one reason why people would feel like failure, why people will have self-pity, that they are so far behind, that they are unworthy, that they are undeserving. It's because they compare themselves too much, more often than not with random people on social media, not just with their close people like colleagues or colleagues from back in school. No, but just with random people they watch their lives on social media. And the reason that is stupid is just because, let's for a moment imagine this. Imagine a life with no one, with absolutely no one but you. Just you existing in life in this world with no one around you. None of these people, none of your family members, not the way you grew up, none of your school friends, none of your upbringing. It was just you all the way from the beginning. But you have this but now you are here and you have this kind of mindset and mentality. And just see yourself in that and feel what you're gonna feel. Think what you're gonna think in that position if you are in that position, that there's absolutely no one around you. All of these successful people, all of these standards set by people have the way across the world, and all of these expectations from your family, from your parents, from your friends, they're all non-existent. See what you're feeling now and what you're thinking. That's who you truly are. That's the closest you could get to who you truly are. With no set expectations and standards by your ego, with no preset programming, with no dysfunctional childhood that led to you being a perfectionist, that led to you feeling unworthy, so on and so forth. With no one, with nothing, with no thirst for material possessions, with no thirst for fake success, for success. It's just you existing. You see how you feel, you see how calm it is, you see how unbothered you are by many of what's bothering you and making you anxious at the moment, because no one is there. It's ultimately meaningless to you, but it's your ego that's pushing for survival and causing you to live in survival for your whole life, is what's making you feel as if all of these things are so meaningful and they are ultimately what truly matters to you, which in fact they do not. Because now when you're not surrounded by all of these people, you do not care. And that's not a sudden thing or a magical thing. It's just because everything, a whole huge part of you is affected by your external environment. You're not in control. You're not mastering who you are. You're not master of the subconscious. And so that's why you might sometimes imagine or daydream about, going somewhere else completely far from people, or just living on a ranch and, with animals, with animals, and you growing your own food and living just far away from civilizations and, society and toxic society and progressive societies. That's why you feel, that's what you're trying. You're trying to run away from all of these shadows that are controlling you. But the thing is, if you cannot face them now and you're not addressing them now, even after you run away, they're still going to be in control. They're still going to be affecting you, although maybe not to the same extent, but they're still going to come into your life from the shadows time time after time. And that's why it's stupid to actually be comparing yourself. And it's beyond that, you have to understand that everyone have their own journey, that your timeline should not coincide with others' timelines. Even the most successful people sometimes even feel that they are undeserving, that they are a failure. And that's because of the imposter syndrome, in which they do not really internalize their success and their wins, and they feel like they're just getting there by luck. They're just living through luck, and everything is just working out, out of luck. And it's not that they are truly deserving of where they are, even some of the most successful people. So there's always a reason for you to feel like you are a failure. But there's also always a choice to choose not to. And that's, this is even more evident by when you think about the most successful people. You realize when you read biographies of successful people, or when you just read about successful people, you will realize that the majority of them actually gained success. If success is what you're looking for, if success is what's making you feel like you are a failure, if it's relationships, even some of the best relationships happened later in time, later in age, when people got older. In fact, the majority of places, the majority of countries, the average age of marriage is 30 to 35, I believe. So if you're early 30s, or if you're even below 30, then you absolutely have no reason to feel like a failure. And most success happens, the majority of successful people, they gain their success between age late 30s up to 45 or late 40s, something like this. And especially if you're in your late 20s or in your 20s, feeling as if you are far behind, or if you're too late on your journey because your friend, I don't know who, is just had out of luck gained success, or just gained success for whatever reason. They worked and they found their way and they broke their cycle, and you're just waiting and wishing that was you. Or it does not take anything from you, everyone being successful. It does not add, give, or take from you anything. It's just that you have to realize that you have your own time, and that you need to fail, and it's completely normal. Everyone who's found success, who's found their peace and their bliss and their purpose and their calling in life, had failed over and over and over. And the more they failed, there's almost like some kind of a correlation. Is like the more they've been through failure but chose to not give up and move on with their life and be peaceful about their life and continue to love their life, the bigger their success was. And so that's why it's essentially spineless and meaningless and stupid to compare yourself with anyone else. And now the second reason, which is you set high expectations for yourself, so you essentially don't meet yourself, you don't meet your own standards. Not even necessarily high expectations, I'm sorry, it's just that you do not meet your own standards. So say you believe that you can do something, but you're just procrastinating all day and you choose not to do them, or you just you do not muster the will and the motivation to actually start doing this thing. This actually brings me to the concept of breaking your own promises. The more the more of your own promises you break, the less self-esteem, the more self-pity, the more you're going to feel bad about yourself. Because essentially you're lying to yourself. You're living a life knowing that you could be something so much better, but choosing not to. And at the same time you're feeling bad for you not being that much better or so much better. So it's a three-way kind of conundrum. I know I could, if I do this and that and so such and such, I could get there, I could be something, although essentially you have to understand that this is coming from a dysfunctional childhood, more often than not. It's not an absolute thing, but it is the standards and the expectations that were set upon you at a very early age. It is how your upbringing was. Maybe through narcissistic parents, or through perfectionist parents, or those who tried to control you, or those who did not give you value unless you've done this and that. And this makes you feel bad about yourself. Because I'm not worthy unless I do these things, because I know I can do them. When you cannot do them, it really doesn't affect you that much. You do not beat yourself up or hate yourself or fall in self-pity because there's something that you cannot do, you don't even have the ability to do. But if you had the ability to do, it would have maybe improved the value of your life, your life. It would have improved your life. This doesn't really bother you as much as if it's something that you know that you can do. And this is what procrastination is. And procrastination is, in a sense, a coping mechanism. It's everywhere that it's been known to be a coping mechanism from a psychological point of view, because you are coping with your fear of failure, with your fear of not being good enough, of not making it the perfect way that you aspire it to be. Just like with videos, with creating content, it's these things come if you did not do the shadow work, and if these things are controlling your life from the shadows, they all show up when you start making videos and posting them. Because I'm a perfectionist. I used to be a perfectionist, and I used to film the same video over and over and over, and then I just upload it because it will never be as perfect as I want it. And I upload it out of just spite and boredom and giving up that it's not going to be as perfect. But I've long since I stopped doing such a thing. I realized I had already known it before I even started, and I already knew that part about my shadow. But still, it came into effect. When you're faced by it, it takes a little bit of control. But the more you do not act upon it, the less control it's going to get, and eventually it gives up and surrenders control back to you, the true self, right? Not the ego. And so, essentially, you are trying to break your feel of failure when you're not doing what you know you can do that's going to improve perhaps your life. You just think it's going to improve your life. Is it an absolute thing? Absolutely not. Because like I said, from the spiritual point of view, you are not what you're doing. It's not what dictates your value, the things you achieve, the things you do, it is essentially who you are. It's essentially the understanding that you are amazing, magical, and magnificent, and a creator and creation. Understanding that you are the extension of Source, extension of the One, regardless of what you do and what you achieve. And so, but it's part of us being humans that we seek such things, that we feel such need to pursue things and live our purpose. And so just by knowing that you are far greater than just these things, it becomes easier to work upon them, to use them, to give them away, to take control back from them. I do not fear failure. What is going to everyone has failed, and if it fails, it's not the end of my journey. It's okay, I can start all over again. I can start with something else. It could be just the beginning of your journey that's going to show you the way to what truly you're meant to do, to what truly is going to resonate and align with you. So it might not be the end process, might not be the end result. So it's okay even if it fails, it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, everyone has failed. Everyone must fail before they can succeed. Everyone must fall down before they can stand back up and, go even higher. If it's not like that, everyone would have done it. Everyone would have broken their shadow aspect, and they're broken free from their shadow aspect. And so that's what's important to know when you're feeling like a failure, that it's important to put yourself into perspective, that ultimately it's meaningless. And once you put yourself into such a perspective, it becomes easier to go back into yourself and not fear that failure and not feel like that failure, and then actually start mustering up the courage and the will and the power to do what you're meant to do, to pursue and to stand up back after you had fallen, and take back control after you have given up. With that being said, that's all for today. Thank you for tuning in.